Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
What happened?
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to National Streaming Sports, professional sports show. It's always a mouthful for me. I don't know why. Mac hates that, but I have a hard time with it. We welcome everybody in. Mac is a little late up today, I think, and we decided to kind of, rather than leave you guys with, your humdrum local news, we thought we'd come in here and wing it for an hour. And Bo Crouch is with me as he's here every Wednesday, and the J Train, James Martin, is also here, and we'll do our best to keep you entertained for an hour. We got a couple things we can talk about. There's certainly always no lack of things to talk about in the NFL. We got an MLB situation we certainly want to talk about, and anything else that comes up or you guys want to talk about. I almost feel like I'm on the Sunday stream of consciousness that I have, because we just kind of go wherever the conversation takes us. So, and we'll do that tonight. So welcome, guys. How you both doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Awesome. I don't even know how my football picks did this week. I think I was 2-1 this, by the way. I broke my 0-3, 3-0 streak, so I think maybe we'll see how that goes. Are you still keeping?
I have to let everybody know. Yeah, I'm supposed to be the one sending out all the reviews. All the results. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Way to call him out at the beginning of the show, man.
I'm actually calling myself out. I got to start betting the teams I actually pick on that show rather than the ones I do end up betting. Oh, guys,
straight up pick 'em. I went 15-1. So
you know what? There was my TGI Sports Talk and another one I'm in, a straight up pick 'em. There was like 4 guys in those 2 leagues. There were 16-0.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And I came away with 10, so that tells you how bad I'm going. Everybody else is 14, 15, 16, and I'm at 10. Anyway.
So if you're betting alongside us here in that upper corner, it sounds like you might have a 1-800 number you need to call if you've been using his picks.
Yeah, don't use my rehab for sure. That's there's no doubt about it. Rehab for either alcohol or gambling, or maybe both. So.
Probably both.
It's hard to tell.
Oh man, that didn't hit. Let me just have a beer over here.
Oh gosh, right. Oh guys. Anyway, there's no. And by the way, if I didn't take the Patriots every single week, I would have one less loss every week. But I can't pick against my team. It's a rule.
You got the homer pick in there. Okay.
I can't do it. I just can never root against my team ever.
I mean, I look at it this way. It's like you're hedging your bet, right? Like you're making the smart play, and then when they win, you're like, I'm not mad that I missed that pick.
I can't. When the Patriots are good, I never bet the Patriots. I never wanted to be mad because they won and didn't cover. Well, that's not a problem now, because if they win, they're going to cover. But I could never root against my team. And big football pools worth thousands of dollars, I don't root for the scores that. I'll give you an example. I don't know how I got it. I see this is what happens on the stream of consciousness. In 2001, when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, I could have won the the Patriots didn't win the game, kick that field goal, I had the winning score for $5,000.
Okay.
I was not rooting for $5,000. I was rooting to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Yeah.
Right? And I just couldn't. Like, guys are going, "What are you doing? You're going to win the pool." I'm like, I don't.
$5,000 is a good consolation prize, right?
It is a good consolation
You're like,
prize.
we lost, but
You know,
I got $5,000.
I didn't know that I was ever going to win any more Super Bowls or ever even have a chance. So 5,000, I just would have blown at that time in my life anyway. I was only, 40. Young man. Well, young man 24 years ago. Would you ever do that? Would you bet against your team? Would you bet against the Seahawks in any situation?
So in my straight up pick'em championship, like I picked Arizona to beat my Seahawks because
So the answer is yes.
yeah, because I mean I'm looking at it from the analytics side, not as a fan.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm looking at it from the analytics side, of course, right. And then the Hawks won, and I'm like, well, I got that pick wrong, and I'm happy about it. I don't care. And then if they did lose, it's like, okay, well, I mean, I got my pick right. Because it's different. Now, at the same time, I don't play fantasy for the exact reason you're talking about, because I won't actively root for a player to beat my team in real time. Right? Like I can't wrap my head around that. So
right.
Like at zero time would I have played fantasy and say I had Marvin Harrison Jr., right? I would want him to suck all day. So I mean, during the game, I can't actively root against my team.
Well, that's fair.
That's why I don't play fantasy. When it comes to like straight up pick'em, it's a little bit different because you're not rooting for your team to lose, right?
Well, I'm just like Keith. I just can't do it. I'm too emotionally involved with the team. I cringe. I mean, I've been in the era of the brown bag, paper bags over the heads, so I can't do it. I can't do it at all, whether they win or not. Even like the year that they won the Super Bowl, I wouldn't dare because I was just too nervous. I'd never seen this team that good ever. And so I just didn't want to jinx it. I just wanted, I'd just rather see them try to win and, have a few tears run down my face and be of joy and not have to bet and wondering if they're going to lose because I'm like, okay, they never win. So how am I going to bet, for them? Or for them to even cover, it's like, I couldn't do it.
Like if I was putting actual money on a game, I would never bet a Seahawk game anyway, because I never know what team is rolling out.
Well, I wouldn't bet on the Patriots these days either. Robert Wardell, I know, is a Seahawks fan. Listen, the Patriots have found a lot of ways to lose football games and we always know we're going to lose. We sit there and we watch every game. I watch with the same group of guys for the last 30 years, basically, in only two different bars, and we go to the same one every week. And we used to know we'd pull games out. Now we know we're going to find a way to lose them. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
And Robert says he would pick against the Hawks sometimes. So anyway, he likes his money. Well, my point is, I'm not going to put money on. I shouldn't say never. I rarely have ever put money on the Patriots, and certainly never against them. So I just never want to be mad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no active, no real money. Yeah, like I've never put real money on it. Usually, if I'm going to bet during a Seahawk game, I should say, it's going to be like with my friends at the bar, and it's going to be like our own little BS prop bets for like $1. Right?
Oh yeah,
and we'll just be pushing dollars around the table, like who's going to score first or what, whatever. So we'll play that way. But I'm not actively betting against my team. But the way we play currently, I'm not betting with them either.
Somebody just went rolling across the floor somewhere. Robert says it sounds like kind of a win-win. Team loses, you win. You pick against your team wins. You lose. Well, I don't know.
I said you're hedging your bet.
Yeah, I'm not a hedge. I'm not a hedger. I'm in all the way, one way or the other. That's me. Anyway,
what I am is a stats guy, and I wanted to bring this up because I haven't been excited about stats in a long time, like what I'm seeing between Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two guys. Usually, if you see a guy hits 2,000 yards, it's only one guy. There's a potential that two guys can hit 2,000 yards and potentially break the record this season. I mean, what do you think about this?
What is there only 3 guys ever that's been over 2,000? Is that right?
Yeah. No, there's more than that. There's more than that. I mean, I can almost name them all for you. That's how much I love stats.
Because I know Dickerson, I know Simpson, obviously, I know Jamal Lewis. Who else?
Let's call out in order. So it was O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Then Eric Dickerson.
Yeah.
Then Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was the next one. Then you got Jamal Lewis. You got CJ2K. You got Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
And then you got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry actually hit 2,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I'm not as big a stats guy because I thought there was only 3 guys. That's interesting.
And all those guys had 2,000 yards. The closest to beat to get to Eric Dickerson's record was Adrian Peterson by 9 yards. He missed it by 9 yards.
Yeah.
Actually, it brings up a great point. Is one of these guys the MVP? I mean, we always talk about quarterbacks, but has anybody been more important than Saquon Barkley to the Eagles? I mean, does it all.
I mean, you could argue Derrick Henry is to the Ravens because every time they don't give him 20 carries, they lose.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
and he's doing it at an older age too. I mean, he's 30. That's incredible. I mean, obviously that's the man's peak, but he's really taking care of himself. And so, I mean, he's got 1407 and Saquon has 1499. And the next guy has 987 yards. They are lighting it up.
Which, by the way, isn't terrible. I mean, those guys in the 900s are on a pace for 1,400 or 1,500 yards, right?
Absolutely. So it's the rejuvenation or the renaissance of running back. So all these guys are going to get paid at some point.
That's the next question, right? Are they going to actually get paid? Because maybe this backs up the owner's argument that, there's also guys like Gibbs and Williams that are doing really, really well. And we can find these guys. That's the argument's owner is I can find anybody to do what you do. Maybe not what Barkley and Henry do, but.
I mean, but you kind of can. Look at the Seahawks. They have Walker and Charbonnet. If there was even any semblance of an offensive line, those guys would be killing it.
Yeah, Charbonnet is an underrated back. I was pretty impressed with him coming out of USC. I didn't think much of him at UCLA because I like Walker. I think Walker is the better back, but they're two different styles and 2 different sizes, and Charbonnet is underrated at this juncture.
So what Charbonnet is if you can get him the offensive line that like an Sean Alexander had, he is that style runner, right?
Yeah.
He is that finesse runner. He needs that opening, but once it's there, it's off to the races, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Walker's more of that bruising style back. Neither one of them will have success when you get hit 2 yards behind the line, though. So Seattle needs to figure that offensive line out. But the point is both of those guys were 2nd-round picks, right?
Yeah.
And you can move on from them when their contract comes up because that's what the league does now because they know that most running backs are good for 6 years. So the first 4 of them are going to be under your rookie contract. And if you move off a year early, it doesn't matter. I mean, the Patriots made a legacy out of moving off a guy.
Oh my gosh. Always.
Right? Like every year they'd move on a guy. The next year they'd have a Pro Bowl year and then they would fall off the map.
Not just running backs, but basically every position. They moved on from guys except for one. Some 2 or 3 years earlier than they had 2 guys like Ty Law and Lawyer Malloy, Seymour. A lot of guys on the defense, especially.
Yeah.
They had a different lead running back every time they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, and that's my point is I don't know that you're ever going to get them to really come back because the Patriots had immense success not hanging on to people.
Now, one thing I will say about the Patriots is that they took on a guy that was a little older in Corey Dillon, but still had some things left in the tank. And, man, he that first year he got there, he got like 1,500 yards and went off, man. So
probably the best back that they had during that run, pure back was Dylan. Antoine Smith was a castaway. All these other guys have been castaways. Antoine Smith back in 2001 with he played with the Bills. I think he was a really big part of that team. Would run out the clock in games. So Garrett Blunt. I mean, there's just tons and tons of guys that they would bring in there and just fill a hole.
Yeah.
Anyway, hello to Michael Gott across 6 pound. One real quick thing, Bo, real quick, because Michael does ask a good question. I don't know the answer. Who's the last MVP to win other than a quarterback?
Adrian Peterson.
With
and before that,
2012. That was in 2012.
And Sean Alexander in 05 before that.
Yeah.
So it is very much a QB award. If it were to end today, Saquon still wouldn't win. It'd be Josh Allen.
You'd have to be outstanding. I mean, Adrian Peterson's career. I mean, there's no way anybody could beat him for that. And I get it because he came back from an ACL. He got 2,000. He missed the record by 100. He even got Offensive Player of the Year. It was just too phenomenal what he did that year. It was unprecedented.
For sure. Great point by Robert too, bringing up Emmett versus Thurman when they were both in their prime. That's a great comparison, actually.
Oh man.
Well, I was gonna. Oh, where was it?
How many games did Peterson play the year he almost caught? Dick?
16.
16. Yeah.
16, right?
Yeah, that was the one that I was going to answer.
Yeah, but nobody talks about O.J. Simpson did it in 14 games.
Exactly.
140 yards a game, man. And he had the worst team. I mean, the garbage. They were garbage, man. He was the team. That quarterback. If he had a decent quarterback, I think they would have won some things. They
had a great offensive line, though.
Yes.
And they did win 9 games that year. I believe that they didn't make the playoffs. They made the playoffs the next year, if I'm not mistaken. But they didn't make the playoffs the year he did break the record.
I mean, unreal. I wish I could. And I was old enough to have seen that in true game. But I watched the highlights. I was like, man, just unreal.
Well, and that's where I feel like, even though other guys have gotten there, they all kind of have an asterisk because everybody else has had 16 or more games to do it. OJ did it with 14.
Jim Brown, what was Jim's Brown? 1,800 and something? Am I close? I think
something like that. I mean, he's got 3 MVPs too.
That was his was in 11 games. Don't forget.
Oh yeah.
He had 12,000 yards in 10 seasons, I think, and he retired on top. It was just wow.
Yep.
But Jim was like a transformer or something, Optimus Prime, playing against everybody. So I mean, he looked at this guy running, and everybody was just like latching onto his ankles.
He was 50 years old, or maybe even a little bit older, when Franco Harris was about to break his record. And I think Franco was up in Seattle at the time. And Jim Brown hated Franco because he ran out of bounds all the time.
He didn't like guys like that. He didn't like that.
And he said, if Franco breaks my record, I'm coming back. And I'm gonna pass him. As soon as he retires, I'm coming back and I'm gonna pass him, because he hated the fact that Franco ran out of bounds. He did it a lot. I don't know about early in his career, but later in his career, he did it a lot.
I mean, that's fair, right? There's a lot of guys that start making business decisions after they've been in the league for a minute.
Yeah,
they want to stay in the league.
I get it. I'm not knocking Franco Harris at all. Jim was just that guy. He was just. But I mean, come on, Jim. You're in a class of your own. You're in the freaking Hall of Fame for both football and college. And what was the other sport he played?
Lacrosse.
Yes. He was just a different animal, man.
Player of all time, from what I hear. Dick Schaap, who went to school with Jim Brown, great sports reporter. Before he passed away, he went to Syracuse as well, and he said Jim Brown was the best lacrosse player ever to put on whatever you call what lacrosse players wear. So tremendous.
Best to ever swing a stick.
Right, swing a stick. I guess. Well, I don't know what.
Right.
So anyway, we got professional lacrosse here in Albany, New York. I don't know whether you guys have it where you are, but it's actually kind of fun to go watch some lacrosse now and again. I don't go a lot, but it's fun to go watch every once in a while, especially when you get free tickets or something. It's always good. So, all right. Anyway, back to the NFL. Since we're going to look at some of what's going on around the league. We'll start with Denver. I wouldn't call it a dominating performance. Listen, Denver played well. Bo played well enough, I think, in this game. They played the Browns, but the Browns, to me, did everything they could to lose this game. I keep hearing how Jameis Winston played such a great game, they lost this game. He threw 2 pick sixes, didn't he?
This is the typical Jameis Winston that you see. I mean, he will light you up and gift you. I mean, he'll beat you up, punch you in the face, and then pick you back up and give you a dinner, for having for having beaten you up. I mean, he's a lightning rod, man. It's just like, wow, you give your team a chance and at the same time snatch it away from him with 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, man.
It's that right there, right? I mean, because you look at the first part of his stat line, it was like 497 and 4 touchdowns. And then you get to the last part of the stat line, it's like 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, you lost that game.
I was watching the second pick six, and I saw it coming automatically. I was like, he's staring the guy down. Don't do that. And the cornerback just baited him in and took it all away, man. I was like,
I mean, to be fair, he threw 6 touchdowns.
No, right, absolutely. I mean, that's just James. It's not going to change. I mean, he's going to light up and give you stats. I mean, like tremendous stats. He when he's on, he's on. Man, he's a gifted quarterback. But he just makes some boneheaded decisions, man, and it costs his team a win. I mean, and it also cost Jerry Jeudy an opportunity to get a revenge game. I mean, he was having an outstanding game.
What a great game. I think they had a stat. I saw a post from Irving Fryer, who I've had on my show, that Irving Fryer, now Jeudy.
You know him?
Irving Fryer, I've had on the show. Great guy.
Man.
We had a really good time on the interview.
I was a fan back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. He played, well, he had one of the best revenge games ever. And, God, I can't remember the other
against Philly?
It was in Miami against the Patriots.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Very similar to what Jeudy did Monday night. And there was another guy, and I can't remember the name they gave Monday night, that also he's had like the 3rd best revenge game of any wide receiver in history. But so for keeping stats, which I don't know who's keeping that stat, but good job. That was like a month's worth of work for Jeudy when he was in Denver, for crying out loud.
He's like, I don't know. It tells me that Jeudy was talented coming out of Alabama, and he just didn't have. I guess he just didn't have the guy throwing him the ball, and then also he seemed to be a little bit of a malcontent as well. So I mean, I don't know, but looks like he's having a bit of a renaissance now. Maybe a little bit of maybe a comeback player of the year.
I mean, is Sean Payton one of the candidates for coach of the year? Is this team as good as they look like? 3 wins in a row, 8-5. They got off to a really slow start.
That defense is pretty good, but they gave up 500 to James. Right. I mean, they typically don't do that, but that's a bit. I don't know. It's a bit of an indictment on James, just how good he can be, and just how bad he can be at the same time. I mean, that's why they call him 30 for 30 for a reason.
Yeah, he's not a second-year quarterback. He's been around like 10 years. And
yeah.
So, I mean, at some point, this is who you are, and he's not going to change.
No, that's it. But I guarantee if he didn't get a job here with Cleveland, somebody's going to take him because he's just is always potential. I mean, it could be the worst team, but they'll take him. They take him on.
Well, we've seen so many reclamation projects. Mo's seen one up close in Seattle with Geno and Sam Darnold in Minnesota. I mean, actually, I'll take it. We're gonna keep going off script here, which we don't have one anyway. Is Daniel Jones going to be the next guy to step up like a Sam Darnold, like a Geno, and turn it around somewhere? Maybe not next year, because I think this guy needs to just go sit and watch. I think we talked about it a little bit. I think last Sunday, James, or I talked about it somewhere recently, that he needs to be he needs to get his mind healthy and his body healthy. And I think there's still a shot that he's a contributor somewhere in the NFL at some point in the next couple of years. Maybe not next year. What are your thoughts, Paul?
I mean, it makes you think he's probably going to be that bridge guy, right? Like that seems like the career path he's headed down. Is he'll stay working because he's had moments and he's athletic enough. But that scramble that he breaks free and then trips from the turf monster was like the culmination of what his career has been. So he's only going to take you so far and then come up short. And, and we got to see it on video. So I think ultimately he's going to be that bridge guy. He'll stay in the league, but he probably doesn't get a real start.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's an opportunity for him to get some sort of redemption. Maybe, but it had to be an ideal situation. It had to be a situation where he has an offensive line much better than New York gave him. He's never really had a good offensive line. Don't get me wrong. He's not number 6 overall worthy of a quarterback. That's just evident. But I think there is some things there. He's had some success, and I think he can have success. Should he have Sam Darnold type success? Sam Darnold's not that great. Sam Darnold can give you some things. I think you put him in a good position, he's going to give you some success. But you see some things that, like, okay, I look to see why he maybe didn't do so well with the Jets. Maybe he didn't do so well with the Carolina Panthers. This might be the same road that Daniel Jones takes. You got a quarterback, or a coach that can see what the positives are about this quarterback and just direct him. Let's go back to Jameis Winston. When Jameis was with the Saints with Coach Peyton at the helm, Jameis, he eliminated a lot of the gunslinger mentality and just guided him in a situation where, okay, these are the keys for your success here. And Jameis had like 1,500 yards and he was 4-2, and he had like 15 TDs to 1 to 2 interceptions. So there's a chain. There's a chance there of being successful. It's just that you got to have somebody willing to be able to see the strengths here and try to minimize the weaknesses there. Because Jared Goff is another example. I think Jared Goff is having a great year with the Lions, but I think he's on a situation where he has a great team around him too, and there's that offensive line is really good because Jared can't take tremendous pressure in his face, and he starts panicking and throws a lot of interceptions when that happens.
Well, I think Winston was afraid of Peyton because Peyton was like, I will pay the defense to murder you in practice if you throw this ball to the other team.
Yes, he's been known to do such things in real games, much less practice. So
exactly
right, and also this game. I picked Broncos because I thought Sean Payton knew the tendencies of Jameis, and I think it would show itself, and that's what I thought those interceptions came, because Sean knew he probably hit the defense on what to look for with him with the film.
Michael, I don't think Daniel's excited about returning to New York. I think he's best not being in New York, and he's not going to sit behind anybody if he came back because Rodgers won't be in New York next year either. So
Daniel Jones needs less media. He doesn't need a lot of media.
Quiet place to hang out.
If you wanted some stats talking about New York,
what do you got?
Oh, I gotta drop the banner.
Go ahead.
Oh no. So if you throw that up, but you pull the banner down, you'll be able to see the stats.
Sorry about that.
Can
we
you
see
pull
that? The banner's gonna come down. Yeah. Hold on. I got to get to my. Here you go.
Those win percentages are amazing.
Wow. Rodgers has done wonderful for the Jets.
Rodgers looks like he works on the wharf, like on the docks.
Man, he's such a weirdo. My God. Great stat. So any of you Jet fans who think they're going to run this back again, it's not happening. There's no way Aaron Rodgers is in a Jet uniform next year. Not going to happen. Oh, gosh. Hang on one second.
I kind of hope they do. Help shows like this all the time.
It would be interesting for us, yes, but for the fans, I feel bad. Some of them are gonna, start getting a little concerned.
For sure.
We're picking a good team.
I don't want to. Robert put this up before. We were talking about coaches of the year. If McDonald gets a Hawks at a playoff with that O-line, being a first-year head coach, he should win it. There's a lot of guys who are deserving this year, by the way. And don't overlook the guy in Detroit, the team that's having the best year. He should not be penalized because this team looks like the best team in football. And he's got to overcome things like this, Bo.
Yeah.
Hang on. I was gonna play your little. Oh, damn.
Oh, you got to start it. Yeah.
How do we get it back over? I got to get rid of the band.
Where there's a bunch of plays or partial calls on the whiteboard behind him. Is that something where you need to just remind a player to be smart about what they're posting on social media? Is there anything
Who's that?
I believe Gibbs posted a photo of Jefferson with a bunch of lingo on the whiteboard in the running back room behind him.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did not know that. Okay. Yeah, I need to check on that then. Did not know that. Yeah, I'd rather our stuff not be out there. Thanks.
And the worst part is obviously I picked this section out.
Yeah.
This was a 9x16, but it is a 16x9 shot. So it has like 30 plays and the call signs in the image. It's just like, dude, you've got to be kidding me.
This is how confident Lions are. They're just going to send their plays out there. We're going to beat their ass anyway.
Yeah, coach wasn't too happy about that though.
No,
That's pretty bad.
No, nor should he be. I think it's that's as bad as it gets. You got to be. I don't know. I guess these guys aren't like Rhodes Scholars. I guess so.
there's that. But
Far from it.
Like when you look at how he left the press conference, right? Because that wasn't like a normal ending to a press conference. That was I have to go check on that and and I'm out. Like not a great being here. Thanks for the question. Like he was just like, yeah, I gotta. Damn.
What do you do to a player? I mean, do you fine him? I mean, or how do you punish him for that? That's pretty bad.
Well, you can't suspend him, that's for sure, because they need him, I believe. He's playing pretty good football. But you got to do something. I have no idea how you penalize a guy for stupidity. I mean, you can't fix stupid. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, and what do you do as a coach? Because now you have a day, to bring in an entire new protection call-out sheet to try and implement that for the week. Like, that is not going to be great.
So, hence my campaign for Campbell to be coach of the year, I think. If you can have your plays out there and still win, you're doing a pretty good job. So.
That's true. I mean, you have to think that it's either going to be Quinn or Peyton, right?
There's still a lot of football to play, right? I mean, a lot of things can go wrong for a lot of teams. I mean,
Sure.
It would be the first time I saw a team, the bottom fall out and then lose 5 in a row. None of these teams look like
chance.
Washington could be that team.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dan Quinn could be the coach.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean is, it could definitely, they could fall apart, but at the same time, if they make the playoffs with new coaching, mostly new players, new ownership group, there's a pretty good shot that you get the sweep of coach of the year, GM of the year, right? Because, I mean, you have...
And maybe rookie of the year, too.
Yeah, maybe rookie of the year.
Good call. Yeah. Now, if the wheels fall off, then Sean Payton gets it, and Bo Nix probably gets offensive rookie of the year.
Right.
Their GM doesn't get it, though.
How about Buffalo? Sean McDermott never seems to get chatted up for coach.
I was going to say that.
This team was really undersold before this season started. I mean, they remade it a lot. God, what the heck scored? Josh Allen, Jesus.
Well, that's why he's not considered, is because of Josh Allen.
Right, and he's toned it back. Even though this year, this past Sunday night in the snow, he kind of went back to his old just let it rip style. He's kind of toned it down as far as that Josh Allen that we've seen in previous years, and they run the ball better with Cook. I think this is a better all-around team maybe than they've had in any of the other 4 or 5 years you want to talk about. But they're not. They're kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Buffalo should be under the radar anymore. They're up there now, and they're getting exposed. I mean, as far as like exposure on primetime games and big games now, and they're balling out, man. I think the biggest factor, the key here now, is just to go out and beat Kansas City in the playoffs. Get over 13 seconds.
They need to get the game at home. I think they really do.
Yep.
You said what?
I think they really need to get that game at home. They got to find a way. They got a game in.
That's going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough. unless Kansas City loses another game.
If they tie, they got it because they beat Kansas City, right? So
true.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else these have got to be the prohibitive favorites in the AFC because the league is not, or that conference is not overall that strong in my mind. I watched the North play, and I'm not excited about when I watch any of them play.
You know what? I think there is one other team that I think that has an opportunity because they're balanced. I think that I like Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they're still figuring things out. But they're great. They're really good on defense. They're very strong in their run game. Russell Wilson is just really playing really good ball, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think anybody can get 400 yards against the abysmal defense of Cincinnati.
Yep.
I was on the show Friday, on Friday night with the fellas, and I told the guy, I said, look, I think there's going to be a high scoring game. He said, well, how do you think it's going to be a high scoring game with Pittsburgh? Because they only score about 20 points a game. I said, but they're playing against the Bengals, man. Their defense is just horrible. I said they're probably going to get their highest score total for the season and they got 44 points.
Well, the biggest thing with this Steelers marriage with Russell Wilson, and it's something that I said at the beginning of the year, is this is a great fit for Wilson because it's exactly what he had in Seattle when he played.
Absolutely.
Fantastic defense. Decent running game, has a weapon. The offensive line is solid. He doesn't have to play hero ball. He has to be special 3 times a game. He can do that. Soon as you make him play hero ball, it's a whole different animal, right? Like he's not that dude. No matter how much he thinks he's that dude, Mr. Unlimited and whatever, he's kind of limited. Like he has a scenario where he can be wildly successful. And as long as you give him those pieces, you're going to win a lot of games. Soon as he doesn't have those, it's different.
It's one of those scenarios at the 2-yard line at the end of a Super Bowl, not giving it off to your best running back and throwing the ball.
He's chucking that shit.
You're talking about Baltimore?
I'm talking about Seattle and the Patriots.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Just had to give Bo a little dig there. That's all.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I even understood the play call. Like it wasn't a horrible play call.
I did too.
I never did. I still can't to this day. It baffles my mind.
This is exactly why you do it. It's second down. They're on the 1. They have 1 timeout, right? So 1 play has to be a pass to get all 4 downs.
Exactly.
Right. And so it was either going to be second or third down was going to be a pass play. Had to be, right? Otherwise you run out of time. So I like the play, and generally a slant is a very safe play. You think on a slant, worst case scenario, incomplete pass. Clock stops, no big deal. You get 2 running plays with a timeout. Instead, Malcolm Butler makes an incredible break to the ball. And Ricardo Lockett did not try for that ball at all. He was just like, oh, it's going to come to me. And then he got knocked out of the way. So, I mean, there was a lot of ugliness that happened to it. But, I mean, you actually watched Malcolm Butler make that exact same interception the next year, too. It's during a regular season game, but exact same play.
It's ironic is they knew that play. They practiced that play all week, and he never stopped it once in practice. Never once until it mattered. Yep. One thing before we get off that, because and people get on Bill Belichick, and we talk about, the whole Tom Brady thing. In that situation, I think one thing that gets overlooked is I think Bill Belichick outcoached Pete Carroll, because I think the Seahawks were sitting there and couldn't figure out why the Patriots weren't calling timeout. That was one of the things I think was a big factor in what went down there. Was they were a little shocked that they just let the clock run, because it was a minute.
My question is how much time was left? Marshawn Lynch got them down there. I mean, he almost legitimately the whole drive was Marshawn Lynch. Yeah. And how much time? If I can recall, how much time was left when they got to the goal line?
30-something seconds.
And it had stopped, right?
No, the clock was running.
It was running.
And I think when the play got over, they ran that play at about 20-some seconds, and they ran. So it was like 50-some seconds, I think, when the play clock started to run.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm thinking like, okay, and what was the ball placed? Was it like on a 1 or 2?
It was the 2.
2-yard line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I'm sorry. I would have never picked that play. I mean, the guy, they couldn't stop him the whole distance. You couldn't give him 2 more yards? That didn't make sense to me at all.
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry. I wouldn't have made that play. I think they out-coached themselves. I think, like you said, I agree that he out-coached Belichick. Belichick out-coached Pete.
if it's not a pick, though, they're going to run it 2 more times, right?
Yes, I just wouldn't. I mean, I get it. It stops the clock if it's not a pick. It stops the clock.
Yeah.
But they could. My logic here. I'm just going to say my logic. You don't throw the ball because they couldn't stop the run. No time. You're on the 2. Just give it to them again. It didn't make any sense.
So there is also a fun stat. Now, it wouldn't have mattered in this game because they couldn't stop him at all. But during the season, Lynch actually had a really hard time picking up a 1-yard required, like, all year.
Yeah.
Now, in this particular game, I don't think that would have been the case. Like, he was running possessed. But that being said, these guys look at analytics way more than they should, which is why we see some guys go for it on 4th down in their own, like, 25. But I mean, if you were looking at the analytics, he would only been successful on like a 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 scenario, like 2 or 3 times all season. So, I mean, they might have looked at some of that too, but yeah, mostly I think they go into that thinking worst case, incomplete pass. You don't think that your guy's throwing it to the other team, going into the end zone.
I looked at the sideline of the Patriots. They thought they lost the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Man, they thought they lost the game until the interception happened, and then Brady's like jumping up and down. Well, did Brady give Malcolm Butler the vehicle that he won for?
He did. He did.
Yeah, he deserved it. He probably deserved a lot more than that.
Oh yeah.
So Malcolm Butler won 1 Super Bowl for him and lost another one. He didn't get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very weird decision to bench him. Like that was
absolutely,
that made no sense to me.
And he's never really said why, except he broke a team rule. That's all we got.
Yeah.
And Belichick was a stickler for this stuff, but sometimes you just can't.
Is it worth giving up a ring?
No, it's not. And he very well might have been a difference. I mean, Malcolm Butler didn't have a great year that year, but the defense was so bad that day, especially the defensive backs. He would have had to have helped them somewhat.
Oh man,
was that against the Eagles?
You have to put Sonia's comment up here.
Which one?
The bottom one, the very last one.
Down the bottom. He's praying for deliverance from inner.
All of the Browns fans are praying for the same thing.
Maybe you should stop praying and start reading defenses. Maybe is what he ought to do.
That interception again. He stared the receiver down the whole time. That's college. I mean, you do that in college, man. You don't do that in the pros. I mean,
was he looking at the receiver? Because it sure looked like he threw it right to the defense.
He was looking directly at the receiver. Yeah.
He was
just like, wow, come on.
Like he was just like, you get the ball this time.
Yeah. You don't even get away with that at Florida State, much less in the NFL. So he's never gotten better. Robert wants to know what kind of contract Russ is going to get next year. You guys were talking. I'm not in love with a guy like you guys are, so I'll let you guys handle that.
So neither am I, but he's going to get exactly what he has this year. You got to remember, this year is the first year of his new big contract with Denver. Denver is eating this thing for 2 more years.
Yep.
So somebody gets him for a cheap rental for the next 2 years.
And it's probably going to be Pittsburgh. Because
nobody's going to eat any of that contract because they can stick it to Denver. Because anything they pay comes out of what Denver owes, right?
Right.
So if you're another team, you're like, yeah, I'll give you the league minimum required money, and I'm going to stick it to Denver the whole way. Why wouldn't you do that?
And Russ is just smiling all the way to the bank.
100%. Him and Kirk, they just go to the bank, arms linked.
Or just have the Brink truck pull up to their backyard, every year.
This is still on the. We will revisit that Super Bowl again. So let's get away from these. Jeremy, our resident Detroit kneecap biter. Packers have Romeo Doubs, Cooper, Alexander, and Valentine out for their big. We got a showdown with Detroit and Green Bay this week. Is that why he's bringing that up? Let's take a quick look. Packers and Lions tomorrow night.
Oh, this season is about to come down to the wire in that division, because if I was saying also these teams don't want to face Chicago again. Then all three have to face Chicago again. And I think Chicago is going to play spoiler to some of these teams, because you got to remember, only one of these teams can get the division winner. And three of these teams are like the top three teams are going to make the playoffs. But the seeding is what's going to matter. And then some of these teams, they can't place the next two can't place higher than fifth.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. I got to get to
a big Kirk Cousins fan.
I missed Sonia's comment here, and I'm not going to spend much time on this because I don't think refs cheat. I spent half my shows talking about they aren't fixing games for the Patriots, or didn't. They're not fixing games for the Chiefs. Get over it. Find a way to get better and stop blaming referees. Sorry, that's all I got to say. You guys can say whatever you like.
No, I will say that the refs have been terrible, though.
I'm not saying they're not bad. I'm just saying they're not cheating and the games aren't fixed. That's all.
Yeah, no, the refs have been bad, and the outcomes have been because of some refs. Like, I'll concede that there's some calls that wrecked games, right? But unless they're betting on their own, parlays, like I don't think that's it.
I don't know what to say about that. I
don't think it's.
I think there was. I still have a problem. I get where she's coming from, because, look, if it's a situation like the Saints against the Rams and that egregious no call in the NFC Championship game in 2018, that was clearly pass interference. That was pass interference, but it didn't get called. They just let it play on. But
KC
Saints still had an opportunity to win the game. They still had an opportunity to win that game.
I will
KC
say
had
this.
2 of those this year.
Yeah.
One of their pass interference no calls was against the Bengals, and they murdered that guy, right? One of them was against Atlanta in the end zone and tackled him. No call. In between those 2 games, they had one of their guys get hit. Flag comes out. So I get that there's situations that are feeding into the tinfoil hat. There 100% is, because those were 3 consecutive games. And the only one that gets called was against the defense opposite of KC. KC did it twice. No flags come out. So I get where the tinfoil hats are at. At the same time, I don't really think that's what's going on.
Both things can be true. We can have bad referees and nobody's cheating to let it, teams win, right?
Exactly.
Both things can be true, but we, obviously we get myopic when it's our team is involved, or we start to hate teams because we don't want them to be in a Super Bowl every year. I like really good teams, and I'll root for I root for my team, but I'd like to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl, not because I thought the league wants them to win. I used to laugh when the conspiracy theorists who thought that the league would cheat for the Patriots. The league did everything they could to hinder the Patriots from being successful. They don't want them to win. They don't want them to win after Deflategate. It's just nonsense.
The suspensions were not necessarily because the league wanted it. It was because they kind of had to do something.
Yeah. But again, they weren't whatever. How about this though? Maybe something that would appease people or put a stop to this a little bit or slow it down, if they allowed certain penalties to be reviewed, I think would be put a stop to some of this. So, again, I don't want to slow games to a crawl, but
well, and you'd have to do it on plays that a penalty wasn't called. Like that would be the hardest part of that, because some of these have been no calls that really changed the game.
Yeah, it's got to be like pass interference. You can't do it on holding. You're holding on every freaking play, right?
Right.
Of course.
You can't do that. But pass interference on egregious plays like James talked about.
Yeah.
In that Saints game.
or
Atlanta.
the personal
Like,
fouls, as well, like face mask, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think if they were a little more transparent about some of this stuff, maybe, some of this tin hat stuff, to use both wording, would go away. I don't know what we're talking about with Kirk Cousins here, but so should Kirk Cousins.
There's a lot of the chat we're missing.
All right. I got $2 what?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
No, that's why I said there's a lot of the chat that
boy, I got way behind here. This happens to me all the time. We got cheated by Tampa Bay too. So everybody's cheating the Panthers apparently. Oh, come on.
Sonia wants to call in. Let's go.
What happened?
Oh, the last one.
You can, but we only got 6 minutes left. So hurry.
You got to send her the link, right?
Oh, do I? Well, I can put it in the chat here. I'll put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to find it in time. So you can come in quick, but we got to go because I got to go to my show at.
Yep.
So. There you go. Don't anybody else click this link. I'm not bringing you in the show. So
all of a sudden, the show just like stalls out. There's 500 windows.
We aren't addressing her comments fast enough, Sonia.
Oh my goodness!
So hurry up, Sonia. We don't have all day.
Mac is watching.
Don't put your hair. Mac's like, what is going on here, man?
Actually, we get a lot of comments, so I think we're doing decent.
It's a good show. It's good.
Anything that gets us through an hour without getting the show banned, I think, is probably a good thing.
What do we got to do to get it banned?
Anybody tonight, except the people who think everybody's cheating them. So, well, let's make a pick while we're waiting for Sonia. Make a pick in tomorrow night's game. Big game. Packers and Lions.
Oh, and where is it? In Green Bay?
Game's in Detroit.
In Detroit. I like the Lions.
It's right in the comments, Sonia. I don't think you're going to make it.
Yeah. No, I like the Lions here too. Both teams are missing guys, right? Now, the Lions missing as many pieces on defense is a concern. But, the Lions look like the best team in the league, right? So
they do.
They've found ways to overcome injuries.
And Jeremy brought this up when he came on my Friday morning show one day when we were doing the 5-minute rant. The Lions have been injured as much as anybody. Injuries are part of the game. Everybody has injuries, and it's next man up, and that's all it is. So you can't complain about your team being hurt. They lost their best defensive player, and they keep on winning. They keep winning games they shouldn't be winning even. So without anybody cheating them. So who's we?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what we said. I'm going to pick the Lions tomorrow night too. I part of me wants to pick the Packers, but and if I were to bet this game, I'd probably bet the over in this game. It's 51.5. I like the over in this game. I think both offenses will get off tomorrow. And Love is playing. I think Love is playing better football than people are giving him credit for it. I'd like to have my quarterback have a sophomore slump like he's having because it's not too bad, and his team's 9-3.
Right. But I got to give credit to the coach, man. I'm always about great coaching, and he seems to be one of them. Nobody really talks about it, but I think the coaching for the Packers is one of the best ones that's out there, man.
He's done a tremendous job, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, and Saleh being added to that has not hurt.
Right.
That defense has gotten better each week.
Who else? What else? Oh, you know what? Did we address? Let's real quick. The last thing I want to address before we go. What's Jeremy got here? I want to see the Lions win, but it can possibly bananas. I can see a banana skin here. Not a banana peel. I get you. Jeremy's across. It's a banana peel, not a banana skin there, Michael.
I was like, what kind of weird bananas do they have?
It is skin, I guess, if we look at it that way.
I guess.
Real quick in our last 5 minutes, because Mac will probably never bring this up, but Rob Manfred said this week that he's interested in baseball establishing. He said there is interest around the league, by the way, not just him. He's wrong.
Yeah, there's none.
Of instituting a golden rule golden rule in his words, that would allow teams to insert any hitter they want in any situation, one time of a game, I believe is all, I hope.
Correct. Yep.
That's
just
bad
one
enough.
time.
For instance, you have the bases loaded and Ohtani was the first guy out in that inning, you bring him back up with the bases loaded. That's the stupidest rule I've ever heard instituted or potentially to be instituted in any league ever.
So here's the thing that's interesting about it. So say that's how it goes, right? They're down, they're down 3. They need the grand slam. They bring him back up. So say that scenario plays out exactly how they want it to. You intentionally walk a run in because you don't get rid of you don't get rid of the 8th batter in the lineup.
That's a great point.
It's not a pinch hit where he takes the place of him. It literally just wedges him into the batting lineup. So you still have the bad part of the lineup. So you just be like, okay, you know what? That's fine. You were down 3. Now you're down 2. I'm going to catch an out on this 8th batter who's terrible, batting 179, and we're going to call it a day.
Absolutely ridiculous. Well, we're going to have to cut this conversation short because I promised Sonia I'd give her a minute. Now you're going to get like 2 minutes, Sonia. So be fast.
All right, here we go.
So first of all, hey guys, I had to go on YouTube to get the link. I was watching from Facebook and it never showed up.
Really? That's
Yeah.
weird.
So I had
Sorry
to
about that.
try to. That's okay. Hi guys, happy holidays to everybody.
Same.
I came in from class, so I forgive
And you
the
took your
makeup.
you took your tinfoil hat off for your appearance. That's good. Go ahead.
Yes, I did. I'm not. I just wanted to chime in because I can't do the 9 o'clock tonight. I got somebody else doing that. So I just wanted to chime in. We are being cheated first and foremost. So why no one sees that crap? Everybody in the world sees that the AT, like Jeremy, my newest friend, and Lions co-friend, because y'all know I'm rolling with the Lions. Sees that we were just, it's nasty work. I can't even get a sentence out. It's nasty work to cheat a team that is already down. Like, are you freaking kidding me? The chefs and the refs. Yes, I did not misspell it. The chefs and the refs. And then Tampa Bay with Scrawny Baker came up there. Like, everybody knows it, Keith. I don't know why you don't just concede to that and at least say 2 things can be true. Don't ask James
Because mass hysteria doesn't sway me. It's
not. It's not. I'll send you some footage. You look at it and you give me an honest,
I've seen all the
appearance.
Look at bad refereeing does not necessarily equal cheating teams out of victories. That's all. I'm an Occam's razors kind of guy. The simplest answer is almost always the right one. And
You should be a lawyer.
Besides, think about it this way. How many places have you worked where most of the staff wasn't really that great at their job?
Oh, a lot.
yeah.
Welcome to the refs of the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's the same as going to McDonald's, I guess, when you look at it.
They are bad. I'll concede the referees are bad. I do not think they care one iota who wins games at all. They just don't.
Well, there was a story out a few months ago, and James knows this. He's being quiet about it, but I think we talked about it, where they did a whole little thing where this particular stinking behind ref that was on Kansas City games, that every time he called the game, he was boo-hoo-hoo gung on Patrick Mahomes, on his, I can't say the word. I almost said it, and then I realized on his Johnson, okay?
Yep.
And so the thing is... He's always on.
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Cojones.
Oh my goodness.
And tonight's ref crew is brought to you by DraftKings.
Right? There you go. DraftKings. Now make sure you, Keith, have me on next week so I can make up. I took my first exam today. I'm taking my last one Friday. So I just got in from exams.
We did this on the fly, or I would have invited you tonight. So I didn't know you were taking a break. But
I literally just came in and saw y'all and just decided to start blowing up your chat.
But well, we'll be back. We got to run now though, because I got to get ready for the college football hall. But thanks for popping in, Sonia.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll see you guys Sunday.
See you Sunday.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Bo and James, thanks for popping in and spending this hour with me, and at least keeping people entertained with a laugh here and there. And a banana skin, I learned, is the English equivalent of peel. So, guys, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, Mac will be back. I'll be in tomorrow on the Mac and Jack show filling in for Mac, and I'm about to go move over to the college football huddle right now on TGI Sports Talk. So join me there, and we'll see you guys later next Wednesday night at the latest. You guys have a great night. Bye-bye.
Best wishes, Mac.
See ya.
Absolutely.